The hand is beautiful, and it allows us to do many things, including to communicate as I'm doing now in sign language, and to play handball, a fast-moving game and a sport in the 1996 Olympics. Next on Deaf Mosaic. Hello, and welcome to Deaf Mosaic. I'm Gil Eastman.
And I'm Mary Lou Novitsky. Thanks for joining us.
Our first story is about the making of an Olympic dream. The determination, the commitment, and the talent that all athletes share. And it's about one young man who has this drive and athletic ability in a sport few of us know how to play.
Hi, my name is Main Jun Lee, and my email address is chimail@edmail.edcc.edu.
Okay.
And ASL 121 Section A. And my one question for my Professor RJ for his class was, I just know how to sign the alphabet. I just know how to sign alphabet. I wonder would I do well in his class or his course. That's all. That's all to my message.
One moment.
I consider the first 6 years of my life as the dark ages, because there was no communication between my parents and myself. They put me in an oral deaf school where I didn't understand anything. When I was 5, they heard about the sign language approach, and the family started to learn sign. We lived in Chicago, and my parents decided to send me to the Wisconsin School for the Deaf. I was elated to be with so many others who were deaf like me. From the moment I got there, I was extremely active in sports every day. When I was growing up, sports was my life. It's one of the ways that I expressed myself. Athletic competition makes me feel good. I tend to win a lot because I'm a natural athlete, and that's why I love sports. If I lost a lot, perhaps I'd hate it.
Richard graduated from the Wisconsin School in 1985 and went on to Gallaudet, where he played 5 varsity sports. There, Richard was introduced to team handball.
Back in 1987, I was planning to try out for the U.S. Deaf Olympic basketball team. I didn't know what team handball was. One of my friends asked if I'd be interested in trying out for it. What's team handball? I had no idea what team handball was. My friend explained the game in depth, and it sounded interesting. I went to Colorado Springs, and after 4 days of practice, I made the deaf team.
Mike Cavanaugh, executive director of the National Team Handball Federation, was so impressed with Richard's performance that he asked him to try out for the hearing national team. But Richard declined. His education came first.
2 years later, after graduating, I sent Mike a letter saying I was ready. He invited me out, and after 2 weeks of practice, I made the team.
Team handball is a contact sport, a combination of soccer, hockey, and basketball. And it's played mostly on inside courts that are twice as big as a regular basketball court. 7 players on each team pass the ball until they find a hole in the opponent's defensive line and can shoot into their goal.
I've always played on deaf teams. In high school at Wisconsin, I played football, basketball, and ran track, and we had good communication. When I went to Gallaudet, I again enjoyed the communication among the deaf players and even the coaches. So, when I first tried out for the U.S. Olympic handball team, I thought I could survive. I didn't think I needed an interpreter. I thought I could use common sense and just go ahead and play. But I found that it's really hard to play with a hearing team because there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of communication in a team sport.
Well, we're concerned about that with Richard because there's a referees. There's clearly a call if you don't stop when the whistle's blown. It's called continuation, and you can draw a yellow card and a 2-minute penalty. And internationally, we can't tolerate that, but there's no special rules because he's playing with hearing teams. So our players on the hearing team have picked up some sign. They have some number communication, and I think they've integrated Richard pretty well.
Richard has integrated pretty well. Although he has proven himself as a good handball player, he still feels somewhat isolated from his teammates and his coach, Wojtek Morris.
Well, you know, first idea was to develop some kind of skills for Richard, just to be like one of the best players among the deaf teams. But so far he showed that his ability or his skills are higher than we expected, so that's why we want to use him in the team. So we are like a first nation ever used such a player.
There are only 2 players who can communicate with me in sign language. That's not great, but sometimes we use home signs. Fortunately, one of the players, my roommate, Robert Mayfield, has known me for 2.5 years. For the first 8 months, he didn't bother to learn sign language. But after that, he realized I was going to remain on the team, and he bought a sign language book.
The biggest thing that I think I've picked up from him is that never say, I'm going to stop, I'm going to quit. Richard sees a lot of things as challenges.
My experience on the team has been very frustrating. If I can educate deaf people about some of the frustrations of dealing with hearing people, one thing I'd say is, you can't blame hearing people for not understanding your deafness. I'd advise deaf people to give hearing people time. We can't be irritated and impatient. It's not fair to them. You have to make sure they learn. You have to teach them.
The American Association of the Deaf recently gave Richard an $8,500 grant to pay for a part-time interpreter. And although he is very thankful, Richard thinks he would be a better player today if he'd had an interpreter all along.
I've been training with the team for 1.5 years, and they've seen me go through a lot of emotions, frustrations, tears, outbursts of anger. They realize now what I've gone through, and I'm still with the team. I've earned their respect. I've told them that nobody will stop me, and I'll never give up. I'm going to continue until I get what I want.
Encouraging Richard to achieve his Olympic dream is his girlfriend, Julia Peterson. She believes a full-time interpreter will give Richard equal opportunity.
He'll be able to hear what the other players are saying and what the coach is saying. He'll be able to have equal access to communication, just as hearing team members have access now. The problem Richard is having in the area of communication will be drastically diminished when he has an interpreter. This communication problem is not necessary and must be solved.
For a while, I think he was thinking about quitting. And I don't know, he came back, with the resolve that, I'm going to see this thing through. And I was hoping that he would, because we, again, went through a similar situation. It's tough, and I told him, I said, Richard, you got to hold on, you got to hold on. And the last couple of games that we had in World Championships, he played well. He showed the coach that he could play. I'm looking to see a lot bigger and better things for him also.
The best part is he's a big fighter. He's a big fighter, and he never loses the ball for nothing, basically. He's fighting till the end. That's, I think, a big advantage.
For me personally, it's a great honor to be a member of the United States national handball team. I'm on the team because there are many opportunities, even job opportunities. There is support, and there are other benefits. But I'm not concerned about being a star. I really don't care. I just enjoy what I'm doing. Team handball is my life right now.
If you would like to help Richard Jacobs make his dream come true, contributions to hire a team interpreter may be sent to Jan Wilson, Coordinator for Handicapped Athletes, U.S. Olympic Training Center, 1750 East Boulder Street, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 809.